Hey everybody, it's Lexi Tucker-Dixon of the Mr. Sisters, and today we're going to show you how to go from this to this. Now, you're ready to go pick up the kids from soccer practice and find a new husband on your way home. So next that I'm all primed, we gotta get rid of these eyebrows. So I like to use Elmer's glue sticks, the washable in the purple, because as it dries, it goes on clear, so you can tell if it's still purple. You gotta wait and do a few more coats. And then also while I'm doing that, you're going to see that I'm going to start concealing my beard line with some concealer in orange. Okay, so now that I've got, I feel a good layer of concealer on, I'm gonna go back and do another coat of eyebrows. I usually do these about 6 times so that I feel that I can smooth out any texture, and then we'll powder over them and go over them with some things in the following steps. Okay, so while I'm waiting for some more of my eyebrow coverage to dry, I've decided recently that it's a great time to multitask, so I'm going to start applying my base foundation. Also, when I'm putting on the foundation, especially if you haven't taped before in the beginning, I suggest go over the tape with your foundation just in case you're not sure where your wig is going to end up. I usually do mine about 3 finger lengths above where my drawn on eyebrows will end up, but again, you don't want to have any sheer tape showing out, so just make sure and cover that with your foundation. So next, again, multitasking while our brows are still drying, we are going to start contouring. I like to use NW45 from MAC. Again, it's heavy coverage, and also a MAC 260S brush for this. It has a nice angled tip, and I just feel that it works really well for my face. So I usually like to suck in my cheeks a little bit and kind of see where my defining line is, and then start to carve things out. Right, so I'm just going to do it again on this side so you can see. And so we want to get the forehead at this time, so we're just going to contour along the outside. Up and over. So my rule with contouring is go higher to begin with, because you are going to go back over with the Beauty Blender and blend everything down. Having a smaller forehead is always great, but you still want to have a forehead. Okay, so nose, very quickly, I'm gonna start at the inside of where my orbit of my eye is. Pull down and then inward as I get toward the bottom of the nose. Then repeat on the opposite side. I like to make mine just slightly smaller, but still have it look natural. I know it's popular and like a lot of queens like Julie like to have it super pinched. It just depends on what you feel works best for your face. And then of course, start to feather this out just gently, and we'll come back in and do the final steps on that later. Next step, grab your beauty blender. We're gonna start to blend this out, and also make sure that your sponge is slightly damp. The dry beauty blender will not work as well if you have it, as it will if you have it a little moist. So dip it in some water, wring it out, start blending. See now I've got the starting of my contouring blended out, my nose. I forgot to tell everybody, I do a little bit of dark underneath the nose as well, so you can see I kind of create that circular illusion for the tip of the nose. So now, eyebrows are almost dry. What I want to do is I'm going to powder over them. I've got some Mehron Colorset powder that I am just going to dab another sponge in. I use a different sponge for each set of the process, and I'm just gonna go over and push that in. One, I want to make sure that the eyebrows are super dry, and also we're gonna go over these next with some soft ochre paint pot from MAC, just to get rid of any extra color and to make sure that the foundation sticks there. And so if you don't powder over the glue, I just find out that the paint pot smears over it. So it's a nice little extra step. Be sure to dab off the sponge so you get any extras. You don't want it to get cakey. And then we're just gonna let that sit for a second. And then you're going to take a brush. I like to use kind of like a larger kabuki style brush and just brush off the excess of that. Okay, so now you can see I have my eyebrows pretty much concealed with the soft ochre. So now again, I'm just gonna take a tiny, tiny bit of powder, do go tiny, set that color on there. Again, we're gonna brush off any extras. Now I'm going to go back with my first sponge that I used, grab my MAC NW25 again, and we're going to start to match that color to the rest of this foundation. And then I'm going to highlight. For the highlight, I like to use a MAC, it's an NC15, it's very white. And so what I'll do is I'll highlight underneath the eyes, up and out, kind of match this line in with the cheek, the tip of the nose, and the bridge. And then we are going to set and bake while we start to work on the rests. So also, you're gonna see with my highlighter, I'm gonna take the space in between the two contours and start to highlight that lower portion of my jaw where I'm trying to create the illusion. And then also up here on my forehead, I like to have that nice spotlit effect. And there's a couple different shapes or ways that you can do it up here. Just remember, you don't wanna go too far out because then it would be like the light reflecting off of a gigantic forehead. So don't go too crazy with it to begin with. And also just that little tap on your nose. And again, if you go too big or too wide, you can blend all of this together. So now we are going to powder, and then the next step is we'll be drawing on our new eyebrows. So for the eyes, I, in this classic look, use three things. I use Herra from the Manny MUA palette that I got. It is called Greek Goddess from Lunar Beauty. Then also I use Red Bullet from Sugar Pills Pro Palettes. And also the Iced White, I believe it was called Talc, but don't quote me on that. And then also for the glitter, I end up using MAC. This was part of their holiday collection. It's the thicker gold glitter, and I believe this palette comes out every year around that time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my MAC 23 9S brushes, and I'm going to use the red to start creating the outline of the eye shape that I want to have. So I'm going to start inside at the corner of my eye. Just go out, create a nice arc. And then I'm going to try and imagine like this diagonal line from the end of that shadow to the corner of my eye and just cut in. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to quit talking, but I'm going to fill in all of this red with the exception of the lid. So what I want to do is I want to take this red and just draw myself a line over the top of the lid. I'm going to bring it down and connect it to here. So this will be our spot that we're going to fill in with red. No red on the lid itself. We'll come back to that next. Next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take this Manny MUA palette. Again, it is Greek Goddess, Lunar Beauty, and I'm going to take the gold shade Herra. And what I want to do, as you can see, so like I've got my red outline and I don't have anything on the lids. So I'm going to go back with Herra and I'm going to completely fill in the lid. vertical wings. So the next thing I'm going to do is my lower lid. I do my lower lid and my waterline with white. Today I am borrowing Julie's NYX Pure White, okay? So again, we're gonna do on the waterline, we're going to match the line up, almost create like a second wing that comes out and connects to the black wing above it. With the red, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of red below the white. How far out you go is what you're comfortable with, what kind of a look you're comfortable, you know, creating, whether you want it big and bold or a little more subtle. To go back over with this on the top of my lid. So this is NYX Glitter Primer. And then I will go back and take the MAC glitter, and I'm going to put that all over where we put the Herra before. To connect the area between our red eyeshadow and our eyebrows up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up underneath the eyebrow and work my way down and then blend. I just use regular old Duo eyelash glue, a very thin bead of glue along each lash. Let it sit for probably 10 seconds, and then we're going to adhere it. right above my real lip and then continually draw larger because I do feel that, you know, we just have to overdraw those lips and get them nice and full. So Max Luster Glass, if you go over the nude, is really great. Also Fluorescence in the gold. So you've spent all of this time creating this beautiful look, and now you want to make sure it sticks. Now, this is the part where I cry like a baby. I am sold, sold, sold on Ben Nye Final Seal. I feel like you could go for a swim, some hooker could throw her drink in your face, and your makeup is not going to run. And let's be honest, if you are new to performing or you haven't performed, those lights get hot and you need something to keep all this on underneath the wigs and 40 layers that we have to wear to create that illusion. So take your Final Seal. It does burn. It's alcohol based. If you're freshly shaved, depending on how much your face has been irritated by shaving up or down, there's a little bit of a sting factor. You never get used to it. Anybody that tells you you do, it's a lie, but the beauty is worth the pain. So lightly mist. Lightly, and just smile through the pain as your face feels it's on fire. Again, great reminder, it is alcohol based, so if you smoke or anything like that, be careful, keep a distance from open flames, okay? We don't need any Roman candles of drag queens out there. So I'm gonna slip away for a second and get into my final look, and we will be all done. This blonde bombshell. So if you like this video, give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe to our feed and leave any questions or comments you have in the section below. We'll see you next time. Bye.